Oh my god, music theory is so confusing. 7 chords, dominant 7 chords, major 7 chords. Today I simplify all that music theory noise and show you how to play dominant 7 chords. What's up, my fellow musician friends, and welcome back to this week's lesson. Shout out to all my keyboard players out there, because today we're going to learn the difference between playing a major 7 chord and a dominant 7 chord. Hold up, before you go any further, if this is your first time seeing one of my videos and you're a beginner piano player and not sure of the terms or certain things that I say, make sure to check out all the piano videos that I have for beginners. I link them below in the comment box, so check them out first. If you've seen my video on how to play a major 7 chord, or if you already know how to play your major 7 chord, that's great. Today I'm going to show you how to play dominant 7 chords, but I'll also explain the difference if you're not sure. A lot of beginning piano players or beginning musicians in general get so confused with the things they have to learn about music theory. And the reason for that is because for so many years it was only taught one way. And that one way was only really geared towards certain specific type of students. There is now studies that have been done that there are a whole other type of ways to teach music theory because of the way that students learn. I am going to show you the alternative method today. Forget intervals, forget key signatures and scales. Well, don't forget them, but don't worry about them for this lesson. All you're going to need to really know for this lesson are 2 things. Number 1, can you play a major triad on the piano? Number 2, do you know what an octave is? If you know those 2 things, you're going to understand how to play dominant 7 chords. Well, let's start with something simple. Let's start with C major. C, E, G, played it with my 1, 3, 5 finger. It's like this. If I thought about the letter chord C, it's always, we're going to play these in root. So the root note will always be the letter of the chord name. So C major, here's C in my root. This is middle C. Throw it up here and double up for a second. You always want to double up the octave, so I'm going to play it with 1, 2, 3 on C, E, and G. And my 5 finger is going to play the octave C. Okay? Now to play the 7 chord, the dominant 7 chord, drop the octave up C down a whole step to B flat. Not a half step. To B natural, that is a C major 7, which I covered in my other video. To play a dominant 7 chord, you always want to double up the octave and then drop a whole step to whatever that note is, the whole step down. In this case, it's B flat, and that is what a dominant 7 chord sounds like. Let's say you want to play an A7. Here's an A major. So obviously I'm going to throw the A up an octave here and play it like this. Then I'm going to drop the octave a whole step down to G natural. And that is how you play an A dominant 7. Okay, what happens if we start on a black key? Let's start on D flat. Here's how to play a D flat major, D flat, F natural, and A flat. Throw this up an octave, the D flat up here, you get this, and I'm going to drop it a whole step to B natural, okay, so that is how you play a dominant 7. Well done, now you know how to play dominant 7 chords, but when do you play dominant 7 chords versus major 7 chords? Unlike major 7 chords, dominant 7 chords have 2 different types of names. You can say a 7 chord or a dominant 7 chord, but both are the exact same chords. They sound the same because the same exact notes in the same order are played. To better explain this, that would be like me saying play a C dominant 7 or a C7. It's exactly the same. Or a G dominant 7, G7, exactly the same. C major 7, No, that's a completely different chord. C, E, G, B natural is C major 7. C, E, G, B flat is a dominant 7. I just wanted you guys to understand that sometimes it can be called, the dominant 7s can be called two different ways. A big difference between major 7 chords and dominant 7 chords is major 7 chords, they are at rest. They should at least sound like they're at rest. They don't necessarily need to move anywhere. So the 1 chords or 4 chords, you could actually throw a major 7 on top of those and they should sound pretty peaceful. Whereas a dominant 7 chord, a 5 chord, would want to move. It has this tension sounding like it wants to go somewhere. It's unsettling. So a 5 chord usually wants to move to a 1 chord. If you played a dominant 7 chord, that 7 note is going to want to move down a half step and become the 3rd of the next chord. That's what typically it should sound like for you. If it doesn't, give it time and play with it. Play a C7. Play the C, E, G, B flat. And that B flat is going to want to move down to an A of an F major chord. If you played a G7 chord, you would want to have that F natural come down to an E of a C chord. If you're not really understanding why or the tension and when to move this down a half step, don't worry about it. That's maybe just an extra bonus that I didn't want to confuse you, but I also wanted to explain a little bit more about the differences between the major 7 chords and the dominant 7 chords. As always, I am so happy you came back to watch another video. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave comments, questions below. I look forward to hearing back from every one of you. And now you are no longer confused about how to play a major 7 chord and a dominant 7 chord on the piano. Until next week, my musician friends, practice up.